return back to that. I am actually kind of surprised that they don't go towards the center, though, as that is a pick that you would imagine any team on this patch would be happy to play, even with the Nautilus as well. You see fasting center, Nautilus farms, you have a really, really tanky Nautilus, and a center that still does a whole bunch of damage. Croco, this game around, however, will get his hands on the Xin Zhao, which is one of those picks we was talking about as kind of being a soft shared champion between him and Leyan, and finding some of that early aggression. We'll see how much early aggression Croco can find now that we are immediately in a different landscape, because one team already has a hard engaged champion to try and follow up off of IG. Got that Varus now in tow. Varus Karma, Maokai would be an insane 1 through 3. We'll see whether or not that ends up being the case. You have to imagine it will be, though. Wink is also hovering over this Alistar in that rotation to picks, and he will go towards it, and it's a pretty okay spot to lock it. Pushing away Xin Zhao, dealing with Nautilus engages, very much an all-rounder in this kind of game. And we mentioned the center, it does get locked in, and this does now enable anyone's legend to lock down 2 Leyan picks that they don't want to have to deal with. I imagine the Nidalee will be one of them. As there you go.
I would think so too. I mean, Leyan as well, another Kindred player as a side note with all this engage and added in range. So let's keep that in the back of our minds. Also want to mention while we're going through, you know, 14-4, remember we did get some Varus nerfs coming through, but still, like, the priority seems like it's shifted from game 1 to game 2. I mean, we saw Jackie Love yesterday. It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes.
And he just absolutely pummeled with this pick. And a lot of the time, Jamada, it is going back to on-hit Varus. Like, we're seeing less lethality in the LPL, especially as I'm looking through the match history here. And, you know, seeing Arn here on DPS carry again, that's why I allude to maybe something that adds engage. Jax being one of them, AL seemed to think would go nicely for YSKM, so it's taken away.
Yeah, one thing that's not been focused, because that top side pool was less of a priority for anyone's legend, they wanted that Nidalee down, is that YSKM could get, what would it be, Jake? Would it be his 13th or 14th game of Cassante?
It'd be 14.
Split? 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see if
he likes it.
That. Shanks has the opportunity to... Oh, okay, they want to take the Cassante away. Question mark. Or maybe they're hovering it. You never really talk about hovers until they're locked, and there you go. They don't want to YSKM on the Cassante. But the problem is, if you're YSKM, you've played so many games of this champion that you know what works well into it. So,
and your Kael does. I mean, he's known for champions like this. In fact, when he was in PCS, when he was on Frank Esports, you know, YSKM had these first pick Fioras, first pick Camille's at times, right? This guy is a great, I guess, bruiser, side lane, fighting top laner, and YSKM gets a dandy with a very unique pick.
Yep, indeed he does. And I mean, if you're, for whatever reason, not familiar with YSKM and his confidence, he's already played Camille a handful of times. And the 2 times that he played, which 2 top laners has he played Camille into, Jake, this season? Take a wild swing and guess.
Let me guess. Cassante and Udyr.
Well, I actually meant players. I should have been more specific. Either way, either way, Bin and 369. So, yeah, to say YSKM is more than comfortable in it would be an understatement. And we get Leyan on the brand, which is, I think, a second time since he's been on this IG lineup. I think he debuted on this IG lineup, this split with it. And Shanks is going to give us a Hui game.
Oh, yes, indeed. For Shanks, again, highest damage source in the team. I've been looking to him, especially on champions like Azir, throughout this split. But let's see what he can do on the Hui. Another side note to his damage potential, Jamada. I think you and I were talking about this before getting into game. 31.6% of his team's damage. So it is obvious that Shanks is the person who is, again, most involved. And it sounds like a classic WE Shanks that I feel like talking about in historic past, where he kind of holds the ledger for the rest of his developing team. Excuse me. This time he's got some better pillars. And for Shanks, he's still being same old. Involved the most in his team, doing the most damage. And something like a play to follow up for your point finally. Again, this champion's damage output is insane. And if you snowball the game, you're just so hard to deal with because you one-shot everyone.
Very, very powerful champion. This is his first time on it this split. We'll see how he cracks on. Does provide a whole bunch of needed aspects to anyone's Legend composition. A lot of wave clear, a lot of follow-up damage on what can be a relatively dive-heavy composition with Xin Zhao, Cassante, and Nautilus from over the top with the ultimate, with the QW, as the Gyos ring wide.
But only as wide as the arena, right? Like,
of course,
if they're ringing wide, you know, how far do they go? It's not like a lightsaber in real life where it technically, scientifically, it would just keep going, you know? Because it's what lasers are.
No, isn't it, not to be a nerd or anything, or a big Star Wars head, there's like a gas barrier or something that keeps the lightsaber, keeps its shape and form. I think that's exactly what it is. It's either that, or it's something to do with the Force. It's one or the other.
It's definitely the gas, because I
think it's the first one. I'm pretty sure it's the first one.
Yeah. So it's a gas. Like, it's not like I thought it was I don't know what it was. I just thought a bit of plastic that you can't see in the movies. But you know, that's what secretly what disappoints me every single time I see like a real life lightsaber, as good as they are, as Hery and YSKM just abandoning the wave, and Hery losing out pretty hard on that trade. I was going to say is the fact that, you know, you get upset, you get the lightsaber, you're like, oh, it's plastic. Like, it doesn't even look real unless you go into like the top end. Anyway, is it important right now? I don't think so. Just had to get my hystericisms out.
No,
back to LPL,
it's good,
like,
man. I've missed it. I think we only had one day on the LEC in spring together, maybe two. So, you know, I've been starved for my hystericisms, and the LPL viewers have as well, I'm sure.
Well, I think as we get through today, we'll see if that is still true, as Wink and Arn try to threaten to level 2 in the bot side in the meanwhile. Top side's going pretty well. It's YSKM again with Grasp Camille. Hery naturally taking the same. I mean, I'm not sure if you take anything else on Camille these days. Like, I've seen PTA in some tops.
I mean, you're always kind of swaying between Conqueror and Grasp. Grasp is going to get you through a lot of lanes. There's probably some where it's like if you're going up into a full tank, not quite like Cassante, who's obviously kind of leans into the bruiser aspect of things once he presses that R key, where Conqueror might just be able to get you across the line and damage, then definitely need into it, but it's definitely one or the other. PTA, very aggressive. It's kind of like old school when the Keystones were back in the day. And Camille, I think they came out same season or just one season apart. And everyone was like, oh my god, look, you can get all these auto attack resets in, and sometimes it'll even lead to the Q charge up. You can just get an incredibly nasty trade.
Wait. Are you saying when Camille came into the game was when Rune Reset came in? Is that what you just said?
Roughly, yeah. It was season 7, right?
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought Camille was here for ages, but then again... Yeah,
off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it was at the start of a season. And the reason why I remember, not to tangent too hard, but hey, look, Leon's doing a full clear. Croco's probably doing the same thing, unless Cryin looks like a free target, which doesn't seem like the case. I had to lane against Cabochard when he was playing on Release Camille in my placements in solo queue. I beat him in lane, but then he went and took over the rest of the game, so it didn't matter. But Camille's really broken, and I'm pretty sure the Keystones were in the game back then.
I was just listening to that story, and I'm like, oh, get to the part where we're not talking about I laid against Cabochard, you know. Very nice of you.
Thank you.
You're just that good.
Okay.
I mean, it's really hard because everyone around me right now is gank time for top side. Leyan's going to flash for this. I was going to say, everyone's looking pretty good. We'll see if that's still the same case as Leyan. Pillar of Flame just out of range. Hery gets out and he has a teleport as well. So crisis averted.
Yeah, not too bad. Getting out of that with Flash still up is a pretty big win, all things considered. And it will just force out teleport from Hery. YSKM should get a free reset. Croco might try and play a bit of a nuisance to it. No, he won't. So should be teleport advantage. A little bit of a CS lead gained here for YSKM. Should be able to return with Machine. All things look good. Hopes here on a bit of a timer. Won't go in looking for Cryin, but Leyan is also here on a ward, however. Everything should just about fizzle out, but the reason why there's so much attention, Hysterisc, Leyan on this Brand is one of the best grub takers in the game because of his passive. You'll see the spread out. It'll pop into 2 different passives. Takes them very quickly. Croco knows this is going on. Now the ward will give away everything. Big scuffle about to ensue here.
Hery's here first as well, though. For AL, confidence going to boost up. Croco flashes forward, doesn't connect, but it's still a real in. The way comes in handy, and for AL, now range not at their favor. I shouldn't say that, though, because Shanks is still firing away. I was going to say IG are out of the chase, but still only 1 body hitting the floor in the end.
Yeah, they
was
can't
it even
really...
1 body?
Yeah, only one. Only one. Very surprising. IG can't commit more, though, as Kael, of course, going for the farming Nautilus with center fasting, has the teleport. So it was actually a brief numbers advantage. As you can see, Arn still remains down in the bottom side of the map.
Yeah.
And Croco swing and a miss, unfortunately. That result in him basically eating every single spell. And even though Shanks finds a lot of AoE damage, it's not quite late game weight just yet. So does need the follow-up. Croco trying to guess which grub is up and available for a sneaky takedown. And I think he guessed
2 or 3 chance, and he just guessed wrong. Yeah.
Very unlucky, but it seems like he will secure the remainder of the grubs as Leyan is down here looking for the Scuttle Crab. Maybe a dragon. We'll see, as again, not only is he a very, very good grub taker Brand, but the passive does mean that you can burst down these dragons with relatively high ease. So for now, being just on a tome in the early game, we'll need a little bit of assistance to make this quick takedown. It will, however, still be just that quick takedown, and dragon will be secured. He fluffs a little bit on trying to multitask, but nonetheless hits level 6 quite early on. Already 7 minutes into the game. And this is where Brand can really start to be a big nuisance, especially when you're on blue side. You can kind of just walk in. If a wave is stacked, you know, Wink will go in and you just press your buttons on the enemy bottom lane and they will take damage, and they will certainly almost come very close to dying, if not die from whatever Arn can chuck at them as well.
I mean, it's always frustrating as well when, you know, you get to this early point of the game, and for Brand not only hitting 6, but having a bit of an item advantage, as we can see with blasting one with the Haunting guys now back in the game. Thank you. Leyan is very, very powerful. And seeing a Brand this early on have this much success, again, good story here. If we're looking at IG fans. Grub also taken AL, ended up getting 2 of them. So at least denying the potential of maybe that 5th or 6th grub continuing on their next rotation. But Jamada, I mean, I'm just glad we've come into this series, right? And again, we've been away for a bit. We're not going to be as expertise as the standing casters in LPL. But I feel like from what we kind of expected, which was like, okay, better qualities of play, better macro. I think so far we've actually had that, along with spicy drafts mixed in between these two.
Yeah, definitely. These opening games have been very, very fun. IG definitely buying into their identity a little bit more, as we came to know from them in the back end of last year. And of course, anyone's legend, giving us a fasting center, Hui. First time on the Hui, of course, like we mentioned, for Shanks. So we'll continue to track his progress. So far, of course, we'll need a little bit of time to scale, but you could start to already kind of see the damage potential from that earlier grub exchange. But for now, speaking of Shanks, might get a little bit of attention. It seems like Croco just going to be able to clear out this ward. No real gank threat onto Cryin or this mid lane in general. When you have 2 wave clear mages like this, with mid lane being so much wider now compared to older seasons, it does oftentimes just feel kind of impossible to secure consistent mid lockdown. But we spoke about Leyan just walking over here, Jake, and pressing buttons on a wink engage.
All he has to do is do it on Hope, and Hope holds on. Flash heal still available, but Shanks now moving down. Makes it a bit more difficult. Depth charge there. Root's going to connect, but for Shanks, I'm sure he has a combination there. That was the ulti.
Yep.
Yeah, that's down. At least the core bringing back in, and Shades of Corruption missing. Kael's like, all right, Jamada's having a great time, and we got a lot of swing and misses, a lot of whiffs, but we had an exchange.
Look, I'm just happy these guys were willing to fight. It sucks that basically everything missed, but hey, you know where their hearts were at in that one. Didn't lose any flash beside Kael's, so not the worst thing. in the world, all things said and done. Everyone's just going to return to a point and base. Grubs are up in 30 seconds. Leyan is the first one in the game to get a first item, and I don't think we should be too surprised, as probably going to look for a skirmish here. No ultimate, but Cryin.
Yeah, look, Croco thinking he had any chance of this. Maybe not good. As we go to melee, he's going to get the trade first. Croco survived way longer than he should have, as Kasanta in the top side tries to get YSKM. Hery almost does it, but it's a double over to Leyan, a 3-kill brand, and IG with an early game lead again.
Okay. Perfect flash from Cryin to keep the Tether alive. Unfortunately, it puts him in melee range, and Croco is able to turn it back around. As the 1v1 also ensued in the top side. Leyan, however, doesn't care about all the fine details because he just picks up 2 kills for it, and the grubs. And then if you take a look at the minimap, Jake, what do you see on his side of the map? Because personally, I see respawning camps that he's just going to go top to bot again on, and very happily clear out, as he's going to be level 9 off the first 2 camps, whilst Croco is still level 7. He's going to be feeling pretty damn good about this one. Did he get the skull crab as well, amongst all of this nonsense?
Croco went back in on this. I guess he saw IG coming in. He's like, which way do I go? I'm probably dead.
That was the main problem, was he knew that Cryin was coming from the bottom side. In real time, that flash was really, really solid. But then, you know, Croco, he sees the angle, does manage to make his way back in, and at the very least trade his life out for Cryin's, as Hery commits, looking for the 1v1 onto YSKM, who did miss that hook shot, trying to make his way down, and in the end it works out because it ends up being a bit of a bait.
You just gotta pull that in, don't you? You know, YSKM lived. Doesn't matter that he missed the hook shot. This guy's a Camille. He's not an OTP because, I mean, Fiora is really his OTP, but Camille sits up there. He's like a miniature the Shy on a good old day. Point being that, man, again, if you miss the hook shot, we give him that one, okay? YSKM's an entertaining player.
I think he just queued the minion in that trade, by the way.
As we're talking, I didn't pick that up. I didn't pick that up.
That's okay.
Great timing.
Well, hey, do you know what is being picked up? This dragon by IG, but AL don't want to let it go for free. Croco is on the side. They're going to look for the fight after the fact, it seems like.
Rage Blind, Prowling Death comes into the backside as well for Leyan. The Visionary's done his job, but he only goes to half HP. AL are on the run from this. They just can't do damage to Wink, and it makes sense. Leyan picks up yet another. Dragon also in IG's back pocket, and let me tell you, this team is closer to moving to 8 than ever.
Yep, they are indeed. First playoffs in 3 years. Cusp of being made. 8, I don't think would be a mathematical lock-in, but
It's not, a lot of the time, it's just a lock-in eventually or safe,
yeah,
you know?
Exactly. So, really good fight to find with those aspirations in mind. And the idea from anyone's legend, you kind of get to a point. You do find the dredge line, but it's interrupted by a really well-timed headbutt pulverize. And at this point, Wink is just able to frontline for Leyan, who just walks down Kael with the spells. Another combo comes in, secure from the Seer. Really well done, and Hope not able to really give Kael much on the backside of that, whilst Croco and Shanks were also being forced out on the top side.
And afterwards, you know, you kind of look and go, well, this game has amounted into the point of Leyan being, again, set up to succeed. Might not be the Nidalee like game number 1, but like, you know, Leyan, again, great carry jungler. And the rest of the map being pretty chill as well. Like, we've seen no major lead come through any solo landers of AL. Shanks is the most fed at this point, but again, still trying to get to that point of 1-2 items on the way. We're trying to give time to Hope as well. And Jamada, I feel like, you know, IG getting an early lead makes you go, well, for AL, things get a little bit harder to get to that point of having relevancy and having some of that core DPS that you're kind of going to rely on in some of these fights.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I'm searching for here, is that DPS. AL don't really have any of it, right? They're relying a lot on their CC, they're relying a lot on their upfront burst damage to find some of these targets, and whilst they certainly will at some point likely find 1 or 2 good picks, the big and major concern that you have to have is that, you know, there is so much damage potential to be thrown back in their face whilst they're trying to do this. Brand existing as a champion, if you don't one-shot him in stun CC, he's going to be able to press his Archie and press E, and he's probably going to, you know, half health at least 1 or 2 members just from those couple of spells, finding all of that ricochet alone. Not to mention the fact that, of course, you have the Malignant's Karma, the Varus to deal with, and eventually YSKM will be a very, very large backline threat to this Hui and to the Senna. So anyone's Legend, if they are to find some kind of foothold back into the game, they're going to have to start looking relatively soon, already down 2 dragons as well. As the reset, I think, does come through that.
Does indeed. No dragon here. I mean, for AL, as you said, perfect timing as well. We pan over to AL trying to find a pick. Unfortunately, no objective timers are up. So we need AL around the next objective, right? Around that 3rd dragon. Pick before, that sets them up, slows this halt, gives them a bit more time. And for what is such an important game, again, we already mentioned, you know, 8 wins, not a guarantee, but in LPL, historically speaking, 8 has been a pretty safe point, and you always end up, you know, at this point early on, probably getting to 9 anyway, let's be real. But more importantly, before going off on another rant, is the fact that this game leading to 8, I mean, these are big competitors. For AL, losing to RA on Thursday was just, I mean, that was the biggest surprise. We had so much hope for this team, and again, we had a lot of hype games we've already seen. For AL, another loss here would start putting on the streak and start getting you concerned, because there are teams like JDG, LNG, Top Esports to round out the schedule until week 8. Only RNG, the other, I guess, quote, easy team to go through. So for AL, how stagnant are you going to be? The rant stops for the time being because Wink is in an angle, but it is against Cassante. YSKM buys time. There's the Hextech ultimatum. He's knocked up, knocked around, knocked out, and knocked down. Arn picks up the kill, and for IG, a pick on the side lane, again, opens up their map.
Yeah, frankly bullied, and, you know, if there was, I mean, one other area of this draft that they weren't really going to have too much success in, it was the side lane, and now pushing YSKM further ahead, they're going to get that tier 2 as well. The gold will be split between Arn and YSKM. Grub's doing their fair bit of work here too, just to ensure that they secure it a little bit faster. Shanks does get the cross map, right? He finds that tower by himself, but at the end of the day, the gold swing is massive, and with that tier 2 being down, the dragon being up, this mid lane prio being secured, this should be all but a pretty free takedown on the bottom side. The only thing really is Chains of Corruption and Hextech Ultimatum being down does give a little bit of ultimate economy if you are to hope for AL to find a good fight here.
The Colossal Titan of a Kael is available with his ult though, and he pops that immediately. Dragon still goes down. AL committing to the fight after the fact as well. Winks one absorbing the damage, but Leyan is sending it out. Again, as a 5-stack, it's so easy. There's a stun on the left, there's a stun on the right. And for IG, they're giving AL the good night. Here we go again. Shanks getting poked down. IG at half HP as Croco tries to keep it still, but AL, those health bars are so bad. A hook shot, a wall shot, a sweeping leg, and trying to buy time. They do that exactly on YSKM. But for Croco, as he gets burnt away, IG sent it. Good for another day.
Yeah, I mean, again, right, we said diving into IG, you have to blow up a key target. Who do they find? I think it was Wink in the beginning of it all. That's just not who you need to look for, unfortunately, and Wink puts himself in that position. Leon's able to get out this massive ultimate, and it just means there's no real way to advance. The push into the river in the beginning is already a little bit too late. They lose out on the objective pretty much from the get-go. But as soon as this ultimate bounces in, I think Hery gets knocked back by Wink with the ultimate traveling on him. It's just perfect timing for IG. And they're able to get the chase down. The Rylai's makes life so much easier in that regard as well. Even though Cryin goes a little bit far forward, never really in much threat of dying. And the fight was won the second those brand ultimates started bouncing between. And even though it's a bit of an overextension here by YSKM, by strict definition, it does ensure that they get this tier 1 off the back end of the play as well. So IG secure a lot from what felt like was likely going to be very little. As now another engage comes in, Jake.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's good for Kael. I mean, IG with another Chain of Corruption used as well. But, you know, Baron's coming up in 15. And even though this Nautilus has himself a teleport, 23 seconds till he comes back in. I mean, IG are going to get a free map movement again, free setup, and threaten this objective, just like we've seen, like dominoes so far as AL look for a play.
Yeah, a lot of movement speed provided to Croco here. Could give him the gap close required, but a teleport's already here.
I think AL I think AL could lose off this play. Center buys time. YSKM avoids away from the pincer movement. Croco might be able to find his killers. It's a spiraling bit of despair, but YSKM holds off for now. Croco in the 1v1 stands no chance. And like I said, I mean, like you just said, for AL, they keep throwing things at the wall, but IG ain't letting it stick.
Yeah, after that third dragon fight, honestly, you have to just try for a big swing. And I wouldn't necessarily call it a miss. It's just that IG duck it, weave, and give him an uppercut. This Baron's going to go down. 20 minutes on the clock. Baron's not even alive for 60 seconds before it's secured.
Yeah.
And this should just be whatever remaining structures and probably a base break for IG. Take a look. Croco, a lot of movement speed given here by Hui. But again, the teleport's instant. Magic Q kind of slows down Shanks from really getting any kind of in with the teleport as well there from YSKM. It's very hard to really offer much as nothing really sticks, nothing really lands, and then it's effectively just solo killed out by Leyan. As the rest of IG ensures that there's no follow-up from anyone's legend. And now again, as we return out of that replay, Baron, whole bunch of pressure. Frankly, they don't even have to play this fancily, Jake. They can just kind of play route one, go through the mid lane, and just make anyone's legend's life very, very miserable. Brand alone, as long as he's peeled for, it feels like at this point, will do a lot of the heavy lifting.
I mean, man, it's crazy. It's like game one, isn't it? Like for IG, I'm loving this look where one mistake from AL, all right, pick off bottom side, leads to turret bot, leads to inner turret bot, and eventually opens up mid. IG again, set up, have their roots in order, and AL have to walk in. Fight goes well, and it kind of just feels like it's a domino effect with IG. Once they find a small window, they're able to move around the map, put themselves on a good foot. And then their next fight becomes so much easier because they just found all this free gold lying on the ground.
Exactly right. That's what you want from skirmishes. You always want to find objectives off the back end. It's just additional gold on top of whatever kill gold you may find. And it feels like every single time IG found a positive fight, it was either directly after an objective, so it just feels good, or they were able to turn it into so much more that anyone's legend could only ever hope to advance it. And even though Shanks is at that 2-item break point, a lot of wave clear available, it's just not enough. Engage, maybe.
Under turret, I mean, Wink is the one frontlining this for now. The Alistar holding his due diligence as he gets rooted down, but they just can't seem to kill him. Running forward, Kael finally dies. As AL, the damage is spreading once again, and it's Leyan, the final march set up by yours truly. The hookshot, wall shot flies through as a whiff, but YSKM is waiting to do a 360. And for AL, they might have hope on the left there, but on this right, I ain't seen too much themselves. YSKM just dunks him down. Jamada is going to be all she wrote. 14-2, possible kills on the horizon here. As next turret's getting seared, and they ain't the only ones nearby. It's also Hery burning to death. Croco running forward, his last hurrah, but he won't find it. IG are going to move to 8 wins, knock down AL, who are in contention with them, and make sure we know that IG are well and truly back.
Slaughter that final game to close out for a very clean 2-0 looking series for IG.
Yep.
And certainly, like you say, right, a competitor for the position that they're in. Both sat at 7 wins, 8 now, of course, for IG. And with the kind of schedule that, you know, both of these teams have coming up, both Anyone's Legend and IG have a lot of those top 10 teams remaining.